Hey everybody. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing anxiety, worry, and fear and how to overcome it. And hopefully, this will help everybody who watches this. So, before I get started, I'm just going to pray. So, dear Lord, I just come to you today and just thank you so much for this opportunity. I pray that for everyone who hears this, that it can help them, strengthen them, and just give them a purpose in life to fight anxiety, fight worry, and fear. Because at the end of the day, you are a great God and you always have our backs. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So anxiety, worry, and fear. In today's world, there are so many things and countless obstacles that we have to come across. And that does cause anxiety, worry, and fear. And it's very hard to overcome it sometimes. You get stressed out at work, in your daily life, whatever it may be, but it's just very hard to overcome. And especially at our age and the generation that's coming up after us, it's just the world is just crazy and it will just truthfully try to tear you down. So I'm going to start off with a couple of verses in the Bible and go from there. So for starters, we're going to start off with Matthew 29:9-29. So it says, "Then he touched their eyes, saying, according to your faith, let it be done." And Jesus in this story is trying to heal, not trying, he does heal two blind men. And it's just crazy to show that they were born with blindness and they had a lot of obstacles to overcome. Yet God saw through that and healed them. And the only reason he truthfully healed them was because of their faith. And the next Bible verse I'm going to be discussing is going to be in Philippians 4:6. It says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God." God does have a will, and so do we. And in our will, sometimes things don't happen. And things that we wish would happen just doesn't come around. And we become anxious about why that's not happening. We become anxious about today, tomorrow, years from now. But in this Bible verse, it says, do not be anxious about anything. And that's hard, especially when you have a lot of hope and a lot of um, just willpower to allow things to happen. And it gets difficult. And especially at a young age, it's hard to look into the future and understand exactly what's going to happen. And even if you're 60 years old, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Nobody does except for God. And that's exactly why we're supposed to lean on Him in everything that we do, which does get tricky because at the end of the day, I mean, we are human and we do have our flaws and etc. But you should lean truthfully on Jesus Christ because He is the only person that can actually help you succeed further than what you think you can. And the next Bible verse is going to be Jeremiah 29:11. I'm sure a lot of people have heard this, but if you have not, then it says this: "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." And that's just amazing because, especially at my age, I have a lot of anxiety and worry and fear of what's to come. My future job, or career, whatever you want to call it, future spouse, just the path basically that I want to take. And at my age, I have a lot of, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to have this. But at the end of the day, it will be God's will, and His will be done. And so, in this it says again, "For I know the plans I have for you." So first off, God already has a plan for you. So that should destroy anxiety and worry and fear immediately because He's got your back. Then it goes on to say, "Declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." Your tomorrow, 5 years tomorrow, 5 years from tomorrow, whatever you want to call it, it's already planned out because God already knows you. He knows exactly how He will use you if you give your heart to Him. The next Bible verse is going to be Proverbs 4:18, and it says, "But the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, which shines brighter and brighter until full day." The light of God always overcomes darkness, and that's why darkness always flees from the light. You see, whenever you have a dark room and you shine your flashlight, automatically that just brightens up the entire room and it overcomes the darkness in that room. When you go outside and you're driving on the highway and it's pitch dark and you turn your lights off and you can barely see the road and it's hard to see and navigate what you're about to do, and then immediately right when you turn on the headlights, you can see everything perfectly fine. And that is how God is. Because in our life and in this world that we live in, it's hard to navigate what you're trying to do, especially with the economy or in school. If you're still in middle school or high school and you're trying to think about college or your work after high school, and even if you're in college or you're already in the work field, to try to navigate through exactly what you're trying to do is hard to see because we're not God. We're only human and we can only see maybe a few seconds ahead of us. But God can see yesterday, tomorrow, and today all in a glance. And that is exactly why He has our back. He is trying to strengthen us, give us a future and hope, like Jeremiah 29:11 says. And it's just amazing just to see that even in your lowest moments, in the darkest times of your life, God is standing right there with you. And it is sometimes difficult to see that, especially if you're dealing with something major, like for example, like you just lost a parent or a friend, you just went through a breakup, you just lost your job, your pet just passed away. It's hard to see past that, and you get overwhelmed by that, and that's literally worry and fear, and that can cause anxiety. And I understand anxiety is a real thing, and it's hard to overcome. And I'm not saying that it does not exist, because it does. Even I have anxiety and worry and fear about what's to come. But having faith and having a relationship with Christ helps tremendously with that. It truthfully does help you overcome it and be able to keep stepping forward each day and taking, of course, just a day at a time. And the word does say that. It says, take a day at a time. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow has worries for itself. And it's just amazing just to know that there is a God who created you to be unique over anybody else. He created you. So why have anxiety, worry, and fear? Because you are meant to be here. You are meant to live every single day according to God's will. And He will give you a future hope, and He will never harm you. And it's just amazing to have that blessing, that gift from God that He allows us to live with, basically. So the next Bible verse I will be talking about is Proverbs 18:10. And it says, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous man runs into it and is safe. You know, there are fools and there are wise. There are the weak and the strong in this world. And if people in this world know that you're weak, they will try to take advantage of that. But God will never take advantage of you. And it says right here, the Lord is a strong tower. He gives you a strong foundation to live your life according to. And if you have Him in your life, that foundation will never crumble. Yes, things will come into it to try to crumble it, to try to break up your marriage, to try to break up friendships or your job. But at the end of the day, the Lord is a strong tower. It will not just fall because God planned it out. You know, if you built a house, for example, and you did not look at the blueprints at all, and you began to just start building, and you didn't look how much it's going to cost you or the material that you're supposed to have, and then all of a sudden you start building it. It's either not going to be able to be finished or it will be finished, but it's just going to be a horrible job. And that house will crumble. You're going to have cracks in the wall. The windows will just fall out. The door won't hang on right, whatever you want to call it, but it just will not have a strong foundation. But if you plan out and you look at the blueprints, you look at the money that's supposed to be spent for this job, you get the best of the best material, that house will stand for years to come. And that is exactly what the Lord is. He is a strong foundation for us, and He has a plan for you as well. And God already looked at the blueprints. He already looks at your needs and your wants and your desires that your heart has. And He promises us in our heart's desires, if it is in God's will, to give those to us. And He already built you a strong foundation. All you have to do is just trust in the Lord. And that alone can beat anxiety, worry, and fear. That alone can give you the strength that you need to continue every single day, to get up out of bed and go to work, to get up out of bed and go to school, or wherever you are at in life. It just gives you that motivation to just strive forward, because you know that even if you don't have any friends, or if you're the only person alive left in your family, you still have somebody with you in your corner, and literally walking ahead of you to make a path for you. Because when you're walking in the night in the middle of the woods and it's hard to see, God is already ahead of you, seeing what's going to happen, and is protecting you from evil, is protecting you from the darkness. He is truthfully the light. And in this life, we get nervous about tomorrow, about what happened yesterday, and what's to come years from now. And it's just amazing just to see that God truthfully does have your back, to truthfully does want a life and a relationship with you. And again, Christianity is not a religion. It is not all about money. And again, I do understand that things do happen in the church and do happen in your household. And Jesus Christ does have a bad rep just because of how the world is. And it's hard to be a Christian, especially at a young age. It's very hard to be a Christian because everybody else is having fun. And since you're a Christian, you're like, oh man, I can't go do this, I can't go do that. Which is true. You should have a level of discipline in your life to understand what I can and cannot do. But God fills those hearts and desires of everybody. And it's just amazing to see. And in my life, I've personally dealt with anxiety. I've had panic attacks. I've dealt with a lot of stuff in my life. But every single time the biggest storms came in my life and I could not handle it, I noticed that it's because Jesus Christ, to me, was so far away that I couldn't reach him. I couldn't, he's just way too far. But the funny thing about it is he's literally right there beside you. And all you have to do is just look. And at a young age, you feel as though the pressure of the world is just caving on you, on your shoulders. It's just weighing you down. Like you have to carry your friends, you have to carry your family members. But God is literally carrying you. You don't have to carry any of that weight. It can fall off your shoulders in a second. Healing will be taking place because the word says it. Because even in, like I said, Matthew 29:29, it says, then he touched their eyes, saying, according to your faith, it will be done. God healed those two blind men because of their faith. So why can he not heal you in the midst of your anxiety, worry, and fear? So yes, you should be wise with your money. You should be wise planning out a career for yourself, to picking a spouse. That's not saying that you should not have some type of thought about it, but don't sit there and worry about it. Like you're at home and you're just stressing so much and you can't stop your brain from going and going and going. And I have a problem with that. And that does happen, but you see, if you have a relationship with Christ, he becomes like a father to you or your best friend, and you have somebody to talk to, somebody to give off the weight of the world. And if you talk to your friends, for example, about your problems, and they're right there listening to you the whole time, and like, okay, man, I got your back, I got your back. And they do. But they cannot carry their weight and your weight. But there is somebody who could, and his name's Jesus Christ. And it's just so amazing to know that, because half of the stuff that you do go through in life, you cannot carry. It's very difficult to try and live your life according to Christ, live your life according to what you want to do, live your life according to what somebody else wants you to do. Like if your parents are saying, oh yeah, you're going to be a doctor one day, but all you want to do is be a musician. Or, yeah, my son's going to be a veterinarian one day, but all you want to do is just, I don't know, work at a grocery store. But see, God's got a plan for you no matter where you are in life. If you work for the city or you work for a company, you make your own music, whatever it could be, God's got a plan for you, and he will strengthen you and use you in mighty, mighty ways. All you have to do is just look at him and follow him. You see, in the Bible, in the Gospels, it talks about Jesus walking on water. And the moment they took their eyes off of Jesus, that's when they sank. And so the moment that you take your eyes off of Jesus and look towards something else to try to help you, that's the very moment you're going to begin to sink more and more and more, to feeling like you're going to drown. The whole world is enveloping you. And Jesus is right there reaching his hand out to pull you back up. All you have to do is just reach. So that's basically all I'm going to have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I truthfully do pray that God will use this to give you an insight of exactly the relationship with Jesus Christ could look like and will be. And I pray that in all of this, that God truthfully will just help everybody's broken hearts, because we are broken. And I pray that God will just help everybody's mind to just continue to focus on him in the midst of everything that you've got going on. Thank you so much.